So in this video, I'm going to be showing you how you can show up in the traditional organic results because people are still doing a lot of searching in that area. I'm also going to show you how you can show up in the Google Shopping area, which is getting more and more popular. And then I'm going to show you how you can be showing up in large language models for your fashion brand. I'm Tyler Nubach, the founder of SEO Align. I've helped dozens of multi-million-dollar fashion brands scale their revenue with organic search. If you'd like to schedule a time to meet with me, just head over to SEOalign.com here to book a time. All right, let's go ahead and dive in. All right, so I just grabbed a random fashion brand here. The brand is Lissay, New York. I don't have any affiliation with them. It's just a brand that I know is doing well, and I also found a lot of good SEO opportunities for their brand. And so I'm going to be going over how they can do better in traditional search, how they can be doing better in the Google Shopping area, and then also how they can be showing up more in large language models. So the first thing I'm going to be going over is traditional search. When I say traditional search, I'm just referencing the type of Google searches that we're used to seeing. So here's an example of the traditional search results. So you search bell-bottom pants and you see these blue links. You have Amazon, Warrior Within Designs, just all of these brands that are showing up with the blue links here. This type of SEO still works really, really well. Brands get a lot of traffic from traditional search still. So I want to show you what you can be doing to make sure you're in these results, because there's a lot of traffic and revenue to be had here. So the first step in this is identifying the right keywords. So there's a couple main ways you can do this. One of them is using a tool like SEMrush or Ahrefs. And what you want to do is you just want to open up your organic traffic and look at all of the keywords that you're ranking for. So this is really helpful because you can see the keyword you're ranking for, you can see what position you're in, and you can see just other information like search volume, how difficult it is to actually rank for that keyword. I have more specific videos that go in depth on how to do in-depth keyword research and how to really pick the keyword. So I'm not going to go full in-depth in this video because we're covering a lot here. But I do want to show you kind of the basics of what we're looking for when we identify keywords. So basically what you want to do is you're going to want to go ahead and export this entire list that you have here. When you're looking, you put in your website here, you open up your keywords, export this list. And if you also have access to the Search Console, go ahead and open up the Search Console and export all of the keywords that you have in the last 12 months. Okay, so I went ahead and exported that entire list and I put it in a spreadsheet here, formatted just a little bit nicer than the way it exports for me. So the biggest thing I'm looking at here is keyword, the position. So this is where you're ranked in Google. This is the estimated search volume, about how many times that keyword is searched per month. We have keyword difficulty on a scale of 0 to 100, how difficult that keyword is to rank for. We have cost per click, which is about how much people are spending in Google Ads per click. We have the URL, so this is just a specific page that's ranking for that keyword. And then you have the estimated amount of traffic you're bringing in from the keyword. So this is all really important information to look at. And if you export data from the Search Console, you'll see similar information that's a little bit different. And you want to be kind of looking at those together, because the whole idea here is we need to identify all of the keywords that we could be going after. And then we need to go ahead and prioritize those opportunities. So you can see with this brand, just looking at their keywords, so many of these keywords are branded keywords, which is a good thing for the brand. Like, you want branded searches because that just means you're building a good brand. People know about you. People are searching you out because they want your stuff. And it's also good for SEO. But you want more than just branded traffic. You want to be able to bring in traffic that is from all sorts of non-branded terms. Like this one, cotton spandex leggings. That's great because that's not branded. You're bringing in new people that don't know about you yet. So that's really the main goal when you're doing this type of SEO, because you should be ranking for your brand name anyway. So really the goal here is go and just highlight any keywords that are relevant to your brand that you would want to show up for. So just go ahead and highlight, put an X next to them, however you want to identify them, but just go down this entire list and identify those keywords. Obviously, like I said, you don't want to be selecting branded keywords here. Just go down and select all of the relevant keywords that you would want to be showing up for. And then after that, then you can go ahead and prioritize those. Okay, so once you've gone through the entire list, you should have a pretty solid list. Hopefully bigger than the list I have here. I just wanted to give an example of keywords that would make sense. So I would hope you have a list of a few hundred keywords that make a lot of sense to show up for. And then it's a matter of really prioritizing those keywords. So that's the tricky part, because you want to be going after keywords that are going to have the most impact for your brand. And so you want to be looking at position, you want to be looking at search volume, keyword difficulty, cost per click, all of this stuff, because it's a lot harder to take a keyword where you're in position 27, get it up to position 1, than it is to take a keyword that's in position 7. So this is the type of stuff you want to be looking at, not just going based on search volume, because leather leggings, out of all these keywords, gets the most searches, but it's going to be the hardest to bring up. And it's one of the harder keyword difficulties too to bring up. So that's another important piece. So really be looking at these, how relevant the keyword is. You know better than anybody else how relevant that keyword is to your business. You know what kind of an impact it would have if you ranked for that type of keyword. And then, really just try to balance that, the position and search volume and keyword difficulty, to go after, in this example, plus size tummy control leggings get searched 390 times per month. It's got a much less keyword difficulty. You're a lot closer here. It's going to be a lot easier to show up. So this might not take you that long to get to number 1, and you can kind of start moving down the line that way. So make sure you prioritize these keywords. Have a set few keywords that you want to start with. Once you've really kind of nailed that down and you know the keywords you want to go after, then it's going to be a matter of identifying what kind of page you need to actually get ranked for that keyword. So in almost all cases in traditional search, it's going to be a category or collection page. Those have just done the best in traditional search. You can rank with product pages, but it's a lot harder to do. You can see like suede leggings, this company is ranking number 2 with the product page. It's not that common to happen, but it can happen. But you just really want to kind of figure out what is going to be the best page to do that. And the best way to figure that out is to take a keyword and just plug it right into Google and see what's happening. See, you've got the sponsored listings here, you've got popular products, so this falls in line with Google Shopping. And then you've got the traditional results. So start opening these up and see this Amazon one, Spanx. Okay, so let's take a look, first 5. So Amazon, we've got a category page. Spanx, we've got a product page. Kapow, we've got a category page. Pinterest, this is not going to be the most applicable. They're kind of an outlier. And then this brand, we've got a category page. So you can see with this one, it's pretty heavy category page. So we would know if we want the best chance to show up for this keyword, it's going to be with a category page. Right now, we're showing up with a product page at position 27. And even though we saw a brand that was showing up with a product page, that was kind of an outlier in everything that we were looking at. In most cases, it required a category page to get there. So what I would do is take a look at your product catalog. If you have multiple leather leggings in this case, then I would create a collection page for leather leggings. And so we'll just kind of take a peek here to see if this brand does. So they do. They've got multiple leather leggings here. They do have a category page that is vegan leather, but it looks like this is kind of covering all types of pants. So this is an opportunity for this brand to go out and create a collection page for leather leggings. So this is a type of thing that there's not a one-size-fits-all for fashion brands. And that's where it's a little bit tricky because every situation is a little bit different. Like this one, for example, I would certainly say we'll just add a column here for page type. This one for sure, I would say we need a category page. And so if we were going to prioritize this keyword, even though we're in position 27, this is one that might make sense to prioritize even though we're further down because we know we've got a little bit of a mismatch here where Google's preferring category pages, we've got a product page. If we set up a category page, we could rank pretty quickly because we're already at least somewhat relevant with a product page. So I would certainly set up a category page for leather leggings. And so you can do the same thing with, we'll look at best plus size leggings. This one might make sense that it's a blog post. We'll take a peek. The 8 best plus size leggings, that's a blog post. Reddit, Amazon category page. We've got Looney Legs category page. Maurice's probably category page. So you can see in this example, you could probably get away with a blog post or a category page. Seeing that we have a blog post here, it seems like that could cover it. That could make sense here. Let's take a look at trouser jeans. Let's open up the top 3 here. We've got a category page. We've got a category page, and we've got a category page. So this one, without a doubt, we know we are going to need a category page. Right now, we have a product page ranking. So this is not the worst news because we know we're already very relevant. We're position number 22. We're not bringing in traffic for that keyword in that position, but that means we're relevant enough that if we put up a category page, we might have a really good chance of showing up for that keyword. So this is good news in my opinion. I would take these two. I would certainly prioritize these keywords because we know we have a search intent mismatch with a product page when we should have a category page. So that's something that probably first action I would take with these keywords is I would create 2 additional collection pages. And I would also link them from the menu. So create a collection page for leather leggings, create a collection page for trouser jeans, and link them from the menu. That's going to be a really good start. Then it kind of comes to the optimization of those collection pages. So if we look at this brand and look at most of their categories here, so like open up denim, for example, they don't have any sort of keyword targeting. They have in the title tag, they have denim. They don't have an H1. And they don't have any content. So they just have the product pages. So this is an example of a collection page that's just not quite optimized yet. And so what you'd want to do, so for example, let's just say this is our leather leggings collection page. We want to make sure the title tag is the exact keyword we're trying to rank. So that should be leather leggings. The H1 should exist, first of all. Right now it doesn't. I know this brand is on Shopify based on the URL structure. And it's pretty easy to make sure your H1 is showing. It's just your collection title. So just have your collection title showing up. And then I'd also, which in this case should be leather leggings. And then I would add content, text content underneath here, which is pretty easy to do. You could just add a collection description if you're on Shopify. And then you just got to make sure it's underneath the products. By default, it's usually above the products. I would not recommend that because that creates a bad user experience. And just pushes the products down. It doesn't help users at all. But if you have it underneath the products, you're not pushing the products down and you're still able to use text content to go a little bit more in depth on your products and potentially add some more headings that are relevant as well. So that's how I would go about optimizing the collection pages. Super important that you have that set up. And then also take other collection pages that you have and drive some internal links to this leather leggings page. So you could do it right from the vegan leather page right here. You could add some text content down here that says, maybe this is our full collection of leather pants, but if you're more specifically looking for leather leggings, check out our leather leggings collection page. Really easy to add internal links that way and start building authority to new collection pages. So would definitely recommend doing that for their leather leggings, do that for their trouser jeans. If I really went through all of their keywords, their entire keyword list, and pulled their search console, there would be a lot of opportunities to create new collection pages and make sure that they're actually optimized. Make sure you're adding those internal links. This is super important. If you can get that right, you're going to be ahead of 90% of fashion brands out there in the traditional search space. Okay, now we're going to talk about Google Shopping. So there's a few key elements with Google Shopping. The first one is the Google Merchant Center. So this is a super important area. You need to have this set up if you want any chance of showing up in Google Shopping. It's just a required piece of it. So you need to have some sort of feed that's taking your products and pushing them into the Google Merchant Center. If you're on platforms like Shopify or any common e-commerce platform, it's going to be really easy to set up a feed to pull your products and to put them in the Google Merchant Center. This is what makes them eligible to actually be in Google Shopping. So that is the first step, just having that feed in place, bringing the products over. Once you have the products over, then you're technically eligible. You just need to have the products be approved, which is usually a pretty quick process. Once your products are approved, once they're brought over to the Merchant Center and they're approved, now you're in the game. Now you can actually show up in Google Shopping. But now there's a few key optimization components that you need to make sure that you have in place so that you're actually showing up. So one piece is authority. So you're typically going to see really big brands in Google Shopping. And that doesn't mean that you're not going to be able to show up at all, but big brands really kind of own the bulk of the visibility there. So you need to be taking a smarter approach to make sure that you can compete with them in ways that maybe isn't the most broad keyword, but to make sure that you're competing on more of a long tail position with your keyword. So as far as optimization, one last thing I wanted to mention with the Google Merchant Center feed is you'll have on your products tab here, you'll have all of your products once you have the feed set up. And you're just going to go ahead and want to open up your products and just make sure all of the information is coming over. So just take a look at your products, make sure the price is correct, make sure the brand is correct, look through all of this information and make sure everything is filled out. You don't want anything to be blank because Google wants the fullest amount of data they can have. And if they see any sort of missing data, it's just less information they have and it's less likely you're actually going to show up. So look through this data, make sure you have all of this information that's getting pulled over, because if you don't, it's just going to decrease your chances. So go through your products, make sure your products are set up good, and then you'll also just kind of want to go through the info on the side here. And I'm just going to move my head out of the way. And make sure you have all of this information filled out too. So go to shipping and returns and make sure you have your shipping and returns set up. This is another thing that's super important. If they don't see this, or if your shipping is not good, you're going to see bad results. I was working with a brand that mistakenly had delivery type for the days. They had delivery was 100 plus days. They didn't show up anywhere in Google Shopping. As soon as they fixed that, they started to actually bring in traffic. They started to get more visibility. And it was because Google was like, we're not going to show products that have 100 plus shipping time when we're talking like a clothing item. That's not something people want. But once they changed it and said, hey, we don't actually have 100 plus shipping time, it's actually 3 to 4 days. Now they're starting to become more relevant and Google wants to show them more. So just an important piece, make sure you have shipping set up correctly. Make sure you fill out all of the business info that you possibly can, just because it's a super important piece. And then also store quality. The higher the quality, the better of a chance you're actually going to be showing up in Google Shopping. Ideally, you're in this exceptional range. You want to be a top quality store. And so if you can become a top quality store, this is how you can get the most visibility when it comes to Google Shopping, because then Google trusts you. They can display a top quality store badge, and that's only going to help all of your traffic, your click-through rate, your purchases, because people now trust you a little bit more because they know Google trusts you more. And so Google, to determine this, they're looking at all sorts of pieces. They're looking at what kind of shipping and return experience customers are having, what your images are like, what type of experience they're having on your site. There's a lot of pieces that they're looking at. And once they kind of identify that you're providing a good user experience, you're shipping the products like you said you would, people like your products, when they can identify that, you'll become a top quality store, and that's going to help your entire Google Shopping just work out a lot better. So that's a super important piece that I just wanted to mention. That's the big stuff. Now, I mean, there's marketing. You've got your ads, which is outside of the scope of what we're talking about here. And then you've got analytics that you can look at too. But you make sure you have all this information filled out because, like I said, Google wants the fullest amount of information they can have so that they trust you more. They know more about you, and it's not just some random company where they just have your like brand name and that's it. The more information they can have, the better. So this merchant center, super important piece. This is the first thing, like you set up that feed, make sure all this is optimized before doing anything else, because if this isn't in place, if this is just set up in a way that is not optimized, anything you do after this point is just going to be a waste of time. So make sure this Google Merchant Center is set up really, really well. And then you can move on to actually optimizing your specific products to show up in the Google Shopping area. Okay, so what you want to do then is you want to be looking at the refine results categories and the specific headings here. And what you want to do is you want to identify where your products match these, because Google is telling you with this refine results area and with the headings that they're showing you, they're telling you what people are most interested in. And so if you just have a product page, we'll just open this one up for example. If you just have a product page that just says leather leggings, that's a huge missed opportunity because there's more specific information about that product. You don't just have leather leggings. Like in this example, you have patterned leather leggings. You have 28-inch inseam leggings. And I will guarantee with this specific product, there's so much more too. And so what you want to do is look at the refined results and look at these headings. And for each of your product pages, I would just take them, put them in a spreadsheet, and write down all the attributes that match the refined results area. So if we're looking at this specific leather leggings, we can look here. We've got faux leather leggings. So perfect example. So this is one I would make sure to have this, because I don't think we actually say that in the title here. We don't. So that's something that's huge because we know that about this product because the entire category was faux leather leggings. So then I could just take a look at the description here to learn a little bit more about it. So I know it's patterned. I know it's lightweight. Let's see. High-waisted. That's one I guarantee would be in here somewhere. High-waisted. So I'd make sure we have that here. We've got deals. What else do we have? Okay, so those are the big ones for the headings. So now we've got other ones. We've got color. So we've got color, we've got rise, we've got features with pockets, with stretch. Okay. Size type plus petite, tall. You can see down here it's 4-way stretch, so I could definitely put in stretch here. Got solid striped leopard, floral camouflage galaxy. Size, specialty if there's anything that fits here. So it looks like those are some of the big ones. Ankle length, didn't see that one before. I think that one would make sense here. So that's another one. Okay, so I'm sure we could go even further with this, but now we have 4 attributes about this specific product that aren't listed in the title here. And the reason why this is important is because we know based on what Google is giving us in the search results for Google Shopping, that this is the stuff people care about. They care about faux leather leggings, they care about high-waisted leather leggings, ankle length. We know from the refined results, they care about that they have stretch somewhere in here with stretch. So the reason this is important is because they have this in here because they know people care about that and that's what people are searching it. And so if we look specifically at, we'll just do with stretch, you can see it. You check that box, it actually changes the search to be leather leggings with stretch. So what we can do is, knowing that these are specifically 4-way stretch, is if we say something in here like these are patterned leather leggings with stretch, we're going to have a lot easier chance showing up in this specific variation of leather leggings because our product title matches exactly what people are looking for. And so Google is going to know that, and they're going to want to show our product. So you can see how that would really add up when you look at these other categories too. So faux leather leggings. So now we add that in the title. Now we have a better chance of showing up here. And this is all with one product. So that's the cool thing. These are all 4 of these additional ones, and on top of that, the pattern ones that they have, these are all attributes about a singular product. So by adding these in the title as much as we can, we're then making it so that we have a chance to show up with one product in the faux leather leggings section, in the high-waisted leather leggings section, ankle length, with stretch. All of those is this individual product, which is amazing because we've got other products too. So then what you can do is go take the next product. So this is another one. Go ahead and take this product, plug it into the spreadsheet, and then identify the other attributes that this specific one has. Like this one, I see this is textured. And there might be some that overlap, like the faux, the stretch, all of that. But there's likely going to be things that are more specific about this product than the last product. So then what you want to do is to just write a product title that can include as many of these attributes as you can, while not making it incredibly long. So a great way to do this is use ChatGPT. Say, hey, I have this specific product and I have these specific attributes. Give me 5 product titles that sound good, that incorporate these keywords. And then see what you got and work with it, and change them up a little bit to see whatever fits the best, whatever works best for your brand, and go with it. And really what you want to do, like this example, we're just looking at leather leggings. Do this for all of your leather leggings, then move on to the next category, because that next category might be then trouser jeans. Go look at all your trouser jeans, do it for that, because when you do this for every single product that you have, and you are just fully optimizing based on the information Google is giving you with the titles, the refined results, you're going to get some sweet results because your products are very closely matching what Google knows people are searching for. So super important there. Really beneficial too, because the conversion rate with Google Shopping is so much higher than traditional search. So if you can be getting in traffic, you probably won't get quite as much traffic with Google Shopping right now, at least, as you will with the traditional results. But that traffic is going to convert really, really well. So make sure you're doing this. Don't miss out on this, because there's a really big opportunity here, because there's a lot of brands that just aren't doing this right now. Like I said, like these for leather leggings to show up in just kind of the main category in leather leggings, it's going to be most of the bigger brands. But once you start drilling down into the more specific searches, you're going to have a really good chance of bringing in some of that longer tail traffic that is awesome because it converts better too. If somebody's looking for faux leather leggings with stretch that are high-waisted and your product shows up, in this case, you're going to get a pretty sweet conversion rate on that because you have exactly what they're looking for. So don't sleep on the Google Shopping, because there are so many opportunities in the fashion space here. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about here is large language models. So this is becoming more and more popular as time passes, and I would imagine it's going to be more of the same as we move forward here. And so it's really important to make sure you have a strategy that is going to help you show up in this area too. So a lot of what you're doing in traditional search and Google Shopping is actually going to help large language models, because when you have your collection pages organized in a way that makes a lot of sense for search, and then you also have your product pages very, very specific to what they are, you have them titled correctly, you have good descriptions, because that helps large language models understand your site better and the products that you offer better too. So I wanted to show really quickly what some searches look like in large language models. And we'll just run with our leather leggings example that we've been talking about. So there's a couple different types of searches with e-commerce brands specifically that you're going to see here. One of them is going to be when people are searching for brands, and one of them are going to be searching for products. So many different variations of this. It's not quite the same as the way people search in Google. And this is just an example. There's going to be so many different, more specific ways people search to just show you what kind of results show up for these types of searches and what you can do about it to be a brand that shows up here. I just wanted to give you these two examples. So the first one is doing a search for more brand specific. So best leather legging brands in 2025. So this is where someone's like, what are the best brands? Where can I find leggings from the best brands here? And you can see basically what they do is they're giving a list. They've got Spanx, Commando, Lissay and Yummy, Torrid, Wolford, Artesia. So you have all of the list of these brands. So let's say this is the one we're talking about here. So this is actually really good. They're showing up here. And I want to show you something here that's super important because you can see this, and the very nice thing about this that we can see is you can see the sources. So when they have the list here, you can see Spanx, and then they've got Wardrobe Oxygen, Forbes, Business Insider. Really interesting here is when you open these up, these are all very, very well-known publications. And so you can see by looking at all of these sources and really opening them up, you can see where they're pulling this information from. Okay, so here's a post, who makes the best faux leather leggings? And if I scroll down to their selections, so Spanx is the first one here. That does not surprise me because they're listed first here. So you can see it's really, really important to be featured in these like best of roundups. So they're featured here. I would imagine, since it was used as a source, they're featured in the best faux leather leggings. I scroll down, Spanx again, and then we've got Business Insider. So they're not listed number one here, but probably somewhere. They are somewhere here. So you can see showing up in these listicle roundups of the best of types of posts are super important. This is, if you're going to do one thing to try to show up in large language models, it's show up here. So you can see like Lissay probably, if we look at them here listed at number 3, they're probably in this Wardrobe Oxygen post. That's probably why the whole reason they're showing up in large language models is because of that. Let's actually head back here. And they're listed right here. So it's very, very powerful to be in those listicles. Super, super important. They're especially from a brand type of search like this. Large language models really trust these publications. And so if you can get featured in these types of listicles, it's very, very powerful. Okay, so another completely different type of search that happens a lot with large language models is people looking for a product for their very specific situation. So I just put in a prompt here. I'm going on a trip and I'm looking for high-waisted leather leggings that are very stretchy. I prefer it to be faux leather. What are my best options under $100? And this is the way people are searching in large language models. And this is awesome because people are getting very, very specific results that are going to work for them. And it's actually good for you because if you're doing things right and you're being very specific and intentional about the language you're using on your site, and making sure that you're showing up in listicles that make sense, this provides a really good opportunity for you too, because as long as you're specifying this information on the product pages and on your site where it makes sense, there's a good chance you're going to show up when people do these types of searches. So you can scroll down and see their ChatGPT is suggesting specific leggings. And again, the reason they're doing that is because of products showing up on these lists. So like we can open up this Good Housekeeping article and see it's the 18 best faux leather leggings, and we can see that Spanx is showing up here. So again, super important to show up. I sound like a broken record, but these listicles from well-known publications, super important you're showing up here. And you can just kind of look through it. Again, you see that same Good Housekeeping one. You can see what they're using. So if you can find a way to get on these listicles, it is so important. So important piece there, scroll down a little bit, you'll actually see product listings here. So they're making sure every single one of these are matching exactly my search. These are high-waisted, it's faux leather, and they're stretchy. And so like clicking on this, you can see that's exactly what's in the title here. So that shows the power of having a product title that is very specific, because these are high-waisted, stretchy, faux leather, under $100, exactly what I wanted. And you can see these aren't even like these aren't like the biggest brands on the planet. So having something that's very, very specific in your product titles is a really good opportunity to show up in these large language models. So the biggest pieces with these large language models are making sure that you have very specific product titles, you have detailed descriptions for your products, and you're also showing up in these big name publications, making sure you're showing up in these listicles that it makes sense to show up in. Because really they're just accumulating. They're looking at all of the sources out there and they're saying, okay, based on all of these well-known publications, this is what we think is the best. And so if you can be in those places, you are going to show up as one of the best brands, one of the best products, depending on what the search is. So if you follow these steps to show up in traditional search, Google Shopping, in large language models, you're really going to maximize the amount of traffic and revenue you can get from these organic channels. And if you'd rather have me help you instead, just head over to SEOalign.com to schedule a time to see if we'd be a good fit to work together. I also put together a free fashion SEO checklist that you can grab to help you rank for your most important keywords. I'll go ahead and leave that right in the description here. And if you got value out of this, please like this video and subscribe for more fashion SEO videos just like this one. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.